So, the way you tell the story and everything.
Funny how.
Come here, though. Yeah, he's crazy, see? Who are you?
We interrupt this program to bring you a special report.
Are you ready?
If it's both, I was gonna say we could probably do so many episodes on how to create a podcast,
Yes.
because there's no right or wrong. But we wanted to kind of put this together for a while because obviously everyone starts with 0 followers, 0 podcasts episodes, and if you're thinking about doing a podcast, sometimes the YouTube black hole is a little bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good idea that we kind of put these together, and whether it's a bunch of little episodes or it's just one episode, but I think it's cool to kind of, bring some value and dumb it down a little bit. Someone that actually wanted to start a podcast.
Right.
So, I've obviously been only about a year in, maybe like 14 months or something like that, and almost 70 episodes, but you just started a podcast.
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
Yeah. So how do you feel about it so far? I mean, you're like 4 or 5 episodes in, right?
Going
Maybe
on
more.
10. Going on 10.
10.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I
that's
was
awesome.
pumping them out, man, a lot. So
That's
no,
great.
it's good. It can be, I don't know, it can be overwhelming at first because when you're wanting to get started, you want to have all the stuff you need. Obviously, mics, headsets, everything that you need to start the podcast. To record it, to put it out there, and you don't have to record the video at first. I think everybody wants to do everything at one time. I think the most important thing is to just get the content out.
Yep.
And if you get the content out, you can start to piece it together. If you want to record the video, you can, and if you want to do that, put it on YouTube. You can do that at a later date. You don't have to not do it because you can't do it right now.
That makes
so
sense.
I think that's what you'll run into is people just go, well, I want to get all this stuff first, and it's not cheap, it's not expensive, but if you wait, then I think it'll become too overwhelming, and you end up not starting.
No, totally. And what was like your first step? Like when you first wanted to start a podcast, what was like, what did you do? Did you do research? Did you go online? Did you watch videos? Did you just read some books?
Well, I did a lot of research. I research everything before I either jump into it or buy it. It takes me forever to pull the trigger. So, but I did a lot of research on. Probably the biggest thing was the mics. I know you and I talked about what mics to use. The mics that you use are great. Mics I have are great. There's so many great mics out there, and I think you start to split hairs when you look at them and compare to what's what. And you can dive way deep into that stuff, but I did a lot of research on what I did, and I pieced everything together, and I went ahead and got it. I mean, I got the mics I wanted, the boom arms, I did all that, but I'm the kind of guy, I want to do everything at one time, so I purchased everything at one time.
Right.
I was able to do that. Not everybody is, and I think the most important thing is if you want to do it and you're kind of on a limited budget, just research a little bit, and you can save a lot of money on mics. It doesn't have to be the top level mic. You can get a really good mic for $99.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
sure.
expensive for some people. I get it, but if you have a tight budget and it fits in there, you can get one for $99. And you can get a couple of them.
Yeah. And, hey, listen, I mean, there's been a lot of hobbies that, I first started that I never finished.
Right.
Because, I thought I was really passionate about it, and then I ended up not pursuing it. So I think with podcasts and, photography and videography and all that, it can get pricey. It's a very expensive habit, but if you love to do it, just like anything else, I mean, Jerry Seinfeld collects cars. That's expensive, but he loves it and he's a millionaire. He can afford it. So I think it's important. Right. So I think it's important to know that you got to stay within your means, but also not just financially, but also mentally too. Like how much are you willing to commit to it? Because if you're not going to commit, like you said, 100%, you're committing 100%. So you have the money, you have the budget, and you want to make this 100% effort. You don't want to go half-ass into one thing. Right.
Yeah.
If you can afford to do it.
I mean, you got to remember, so you're jumping into it and you're like super excited. You have 2 or 3 things you want to talk about, but then you can quickly get into a hole where you're like, what am I going to talk about now? Who am I going to get on there? So you have to be ready and plan it out and figure out what you want to talk about over a certain amount of time, and then how many pieces of content are you going to put out? How often? I mean, it's a long list of things, and maybe we break this up into different episodes. But going back to the equipment, I think the biggest thing is to do is figure your budget and get the most important thing. So obviously mics are important. You got to have that, and then you got to research to see, how are you going to push what you're going to push through the mics. Now we got the Rodecaster Pro is what we're using, and it's got everything in it, and it's fairly pricey. So it's like $600, so you're going to have to be able to afford that, or in reality, you're going to end up paying that kind of money once you get everything else together to push the stuff through there. But I think you made a good point. I know when I talked to you about starting, they have mics that are USB mics that you plug right up to the computer, and it feeds right into whatever program you're using. You don't have to use anything else.
Correct. Yeah, and in fact, that's what I was just going to say, because I still actually have that mic, but Blue makes nice USB mics, but they're kind of expensive. But there's a couple you can get on Amazon, 20, 30, $40, and it's a USB instead of an XLR, which is what we have. Right. Where you can actually plug them into recorders like the Rodecaster, Zooms. They're good for portable podcasts and things like that. But if you have a laptop and you just want to record straight up, the USB mic is the way to go. And that's what I got at first. And then I used Voice Memo. It's an app on your phone or your laptop if you have a Mac. And I just recorded straight into that. And then I uploaded that to Anchor, which is a great podcast platform. But there's a little bit of negatives in that. But we'll talk about that too in a sec. But I think to your point, the important thing is, even if you just start small with that USB, record, get some episodes out, just kind of get comfortable with it and see if you want to do it. And then if you're really excited about it, a couple episodes in and you think that's something you want to do, pull the trigger and get something a little bit more pricey. And, what's cool about something like that, like I still have that USB mic, but I got a buddy that I'm going to sell it to because he wants to start his own podcast. So it's kind of like, staying in the community of just giving things out and, kind of like secondhand passing things on. So as you upgrade, because of course, once you got that Rodecaster, and I looked at that last year, and I ended up pulling the trigger on the Zoom H6, which is the little portable recorder, which I still have, which is great. And the only reason I didn't pull the trigger on the Rode yet, because it was only about a year and a half old. So there wasn't a whole lot of reviews. There was it's not as good as it is now, the new updates they sent out. But, I was only like 10 episodes in. So I wasn't like, I'm not going to throw in $700. But then once I started doing a lot more, and once I got to like 30, 40, 50, 60 episodes, I'm like, okay, now I'm all in with this thing. So once you got it, I'm like, all right, now I know someone that got it, get their review. And I pulled the trigger on the Rodecaster Pro. But
the thing about it is it's worth the money because you have everything in it. You have everything you need, top to bottom. It's worth the money. It is pricey, like I said earlier, but to get you started. If it sets your budget, it's definitely worth getting. It really comes down to budget, is what it is. Yeah, like exactly. I said, when I wanted to start, I've been wanting to start for a long time, and that was my goal for 2020 to go ahead and knock it out, and quit putting it off. And then I came down there and we did one together, and I was like, I got to get this thing started. So. I did a lot of research, as you know, because when we talked about it, it was probably, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks after that or more, probably longer than that. Yeah. Before I got it. Yeah. But it's been good so far. I've had some really good guests. I've had family on. I've had some really good people on, man. It's pretty pumped up. So no, I enjoyed the health and fitness one. I got around to that one, and I'll leave the link. And obviously you can do the same in our podcast, our individual podcast. But that's what's kind of cool about it is we can share each other's info, but and each other's podcasts. But what I love the most about podcasts, the reason why I wanted to do it, is because I'm a big fan of listening to it, and that's what kind of motivated me to start one. Is a lot of people are probably thinking of this, and maybe they're listening and they wanted to start a podcast, but they're like, I don't know if I have any content to put out there. And the question is, what are you good at? And whether that's
photography or health and fitness or reading books or collecting magazines or doing makeup, you could start a podcast if you really wanted to, because I think a lot of people have value to bring, and you just got to put the content out there, however that is.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely bringing value, but everybody's got something to talk about. And if you have, like you said, obviously I love photography and videography and stuff like that, but I'm also into health and fitness, and you grab the people that you can grab that are experts in those fields, and that's what helps, fuel the conversation. And it doesn't really have to be scripted either when you're doing a podcast. It's really just about, sometimes it's fun just to get on and bullshit about stuff, It's just, let's just talk. Let's just have a conversation, man, And I have
there was a couple.
And one was about real estate and stuff. We just it was just BSing. That's all it was. And to me, that's when you can have some of the best conversations. But at the same time, it still has to be good content, because not everybody gives a crap about what you and your cousin want to talk about. It has to be good content. So you do have to kind of keep, be mindful of that and make sure that you're putting out something that people want to listen to. So.
Yeah, exactly. And, even just like you said, just bullshitting and talking to friends and family and stuff like that. That's another good point is another big reason why I first started one was because I had so many great conversations with friends and family over the years. We all have. Yeah. But I mean, aside from you remembering it, there's like no record of it. And that sounds kind of stupid, but it'll be cool in 20 years to look back on this and to pull up, whatever podcast app we're using at the time and listen to those conversations you had with like your buddy or your cousin or, a friend you had on the podcast, because memory's kind of a funky thing. Like I don't really remember like 5 years ago to be like, I couldn't, what happened on my birthday 5 years ago, who was there? Exactly. I don't know. Memory's kind of a funky thing, but that's what's cool about, videos and photos, and we can look back on that stuff and trigger memories. And I think, podcast is a great way to do that, to hear conversations, because we're not really having enough conversations, I don't think. Would you agree?
No, and that's the good thing is there's a lot of people, honestly, that don't know about podcasts. They don't know about it. They don't know what goes into it. They've never done one, or they don't even listen to them. So it really, some of the people that you can have on there can make them want to listen more to podcasts. So like you said, like if we do one and and obviously I promote what you do. So, they all of a sudden they jump on and listen to, what Tony Berardo does now, and just like the last one you did. Last one you did was pretty funny. I like that. That was a good one.
Oh yeah. With Chris. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that was good.
But yeah,
and that's another good point to where we didn't even, he lives in LA, so we don't really get a chance to talk except for like text or, DM or Facebook Messenger, and we'll send each other stupid memes every now and again. Yeah. But he's an actor out in LA, so I never get a chance to talk to him. And then finally, I text him. I was like, yo, dude, we're on the quarantine. Let's do a little Zoom podcast. And he's like, yeah, fuck it. Let's do it. So we ended up doing it, and we didn't script anything. We just shot the shit and talked, and then, it was over. It was an hour and like 50 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say that's the best way to do it is sometimes it's not, I don't want to say it's better when it's not scripted. I've never done a podcast that's scripted, but to have a topic, it's always good, like you said, because you want to bring value to the consumer, but also you have to think to yourself, and this was the one thing that I really asked myself like 10 episodes in, is who am I doing the podcast for?
Right.
And I wasn't doing it for anybody else except me, because I just wanted an outlet to talk to people, talk to my friends, and I feel like it's better to have like sound in your ear and this like interaction as opposed to like over the phone where I can't see you,
right,
or texting, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to do it. And I think that's important, is if you're trying to do a podcast to make money or do it for other people, I don't know if that's necessarily the right reason at first, because that means there's no,
just let it happen organically. I mean, if it happens, it happens. And not if you're really into it, then have fun with it. Search for people out that you want to have on there,
and that's like anything, right? Yeah.
I
mean, with videography and photography, like you do it because you like to do it. The fact that you make money off it is a bonus, but I would imagine like, if you couldn't do
it's
it
fun.
anymore,
I mean,
you
I
would
was
still.
doing it. Yeah, I mean, I was doing it for fun for a long time before I said, you know what, I need to make money at it. It's not
Yeah.
worth doing some of the things I was doing without making the money, but it was a little bit at a time. That's a whole different subject, but
Mhm.
and then just it blows up. And that's the same with this. I mean, you just if you're interested in it, hit it and do it for the fun and for what it's worth. Put the content out there that
Yeah.
people can listen to, and then if it goes somewhere, then fine. But not all podcasts are going to make money. It's just that's not the way it goes.
Yeah. There's
Um,
too many.
yeah, there's a ton of them out there. I mean, you don't know. You might pick up sponsorships from here. That's way down the line. You might have somebody that goes, "Hey, I want to, I don't know, advertise on your podcast."
Yeah.
It may happen, but
Well, and
don't.
yeah, and that's a good point to bring up too. So, I mean, I've had a couple people reach out to me here and there, and I only got one sponsor right now, but I've had probably, I don't know, probably 12 or 13 people that reach out to me, companies, and they're companies I've never heard of. I don't really, I wouldn't have them on. Like, I don't believe in the product.
Right.
So, I mean, you could make money, but it's definitely not enough to
Yeah.
sustain. Um, but like you said, it's all about the passion and what you like to do. So if you're doing a podcast and you have a sponsorship, so you don't like the product,
I think
you're
it's
not going to
interesting
like doing the
because
podcast.
I've been in touch. I communicate with quite a few people on Instagram, and I think it's interesting because you can communicate with people that are huge in certain areas. So if it's health and fitness, I've had a couple people on that are really big in that area and are deeply rooted into that. And then I've had somebody on that's huge into food photography along with other stuff. But it's interesting how many people that will actually come on and talk to you about whatever it is that they do. So
Yeah,
and there's a lot of people that follow those people. So there are people that listen to the podcast, but that's how you get it out there.
that's it,
You
man.
have to market
Collaboration.
yourself. Yeah, you have to market yourself. You can't be scared to go after people. I mean, you are your own. You're the podcaster. You're the director. You're the producer. You're everything. So
That's right. That's
the
it.
marketer, you got to do everything.
Yeah, and then just to kind of to help out someone that if they wanted to start a podcast today, what do you think is like not just step one of getting stuff, because we talked about the research and stuff, but and the mics and all that, but what do you think is the best thing to do if you were to first start off from an equipment standpoint? Like, what
From
should you
equipment,
get? You have to have, yeah, and how much would it cost too?
honestly, again, it'll go back to just say, okay, say if somebody's like 100%, like I'm going into it. Honestly, I would get like two mics. If you're going to have somebody there, to talk to.
A guest,
This is
right?
this is a whole different situation that we're in because a lot of them's got to be like this. But planning to have somebody there, you buy somewhere between 2 to 4 mics, and you can actually get away with some excellent mics. 2 of them you can spend $200 on, or if you want to go a different route, like we talked about, you could spend a couple $100 on a USB mic, which you could actually go a little bit more expensive, go USB route, put it into your computer, start that way.
Mm-hmm. Just
Now,
you.
just you, yeah.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
if you want to get started and you're going, I'm all in, then I would, you could spend 15 to 1,800 bucks or more to
Mhm.
get everything. That's everything.
Out the door,
That's
ready to rock.
Yeah. So now, if you research it, you can go. You can go a couple of mics, like the mics that I have. All my setup, it's going to run you upwards of that. Now I have 2 mics, but you could also get 4 mics and spend somewhere around 1,800 bucks or more. And that's the entire setup. That's everything.
Yeah.
That's your mics, your earphones, your boom arms, the
Now,
broadcaster, all that stuff.
do you have did you update your kit profile
My
online?
kit.
Yeah, the kit.co.
I don't know if I have or not. I need to.
Okay.
I need to look
'Cause
at it. I think I started it.
Yeah.
I don't think I finished it. I
Yeah,
think
'cause
I think I did.
I was gonna say I follow you, so I'll send you mine, and you send me yours, and
Yeah.
we'll leave the links too, so that way people could kind of take a look at the difference. Because I think what we both have is is good for now. I mean, obviously it's going
Oh,
to
yeah.
continue to grow if we want it to, but
Yeah.
there was two routes that each of us took, and I think either one is pretty feasible. But to your point, I would say minimum $500. If you were to
Yeah.
do a one mic, maybe two, get a decent mic, either get a Zoom recorder or plug it into your laptop. But then you also got to talk about, are you going to video it too?
Mhm.
Do you have that set up? And I would even say start with the iPhone. That's what I did at first. If you don't
Yeah.
have a camera, and then
Well, the
eventually I
only
got a camera. But
only reason I said it'd be a little bit more expensive is because unless you know how to use the Zoom mics, the Zoom mics.
Mhm.
Some people may not know. I know they're easy for you or me to use.
Right.
I've used them. You used them, obviously. Um, but how easy would it be for somebody who's not that technical with that type of stuff? So would
Yeah,
you?
that's true.
I mean, it's still. I mean, that's what 500, $500. How much is that?
Well,
300
well,
bucks.
the H6 I think is probably down to like maybe 300, but that's got 5 mics, so that's aggressive.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they have one that's the H3 or H2, and that's like what comedians use. They'll set it on the table when they go do stand up, and they'll press record and they'll record it. So it's just like
Right.
you could plug in a mic to it if you want, or you could just set it up, and it comes with a what do you call it? Big mic that you attach to it. It's not an actual mic like this, but it's almost like a what's the word I'm looking for?
Wow.
Like the Rode mic you put on top of a camera.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about. That's
Yeah, it's
basically
like,
what it is, just a red mic.
yeah,
I know.
just a little mic that comes with it, but that way you can actually just put that up and record that way, and that's like $200.
Yeah.
And
I
all you
just,
do is
I'm,
you literally press record, and that's it.
yeah. I think that if you're going to spend 300 on a Zoom, just spend a couple $100 more.
Get the
and get
Rodecaster safe up. Yeah.
I mean,
No, I agree.
we're not
Yeah, it's
supposed
just
people for them, but I could be
yeah.
behind it 110%. So the thing is about it takes all the guesswork out. It has everything in it. It has everything. So you don't have to get anything else except for that. You hook everything up to that, and you're good to go right out of the box. You got to tweak a couple things, but it's minimal. You could really go out of the box if you want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And I
Yeah,
don't,
'cause
you can split hairs when it comes to all that stuff. I think yes, you can. You could probably with that get away with the whole setup for under $1,000.
yeah. And again, it go like you said, it's all about the budget, but also it has to do with the content too. You could spend $1,500 to $2,000, but
Yeah.
if you don't have anything that people want to listen to,
That's it. It can
You
be
know.
as fancy as you want it to be, but I think a lot of people may get lost in that too. Is they want the whole look, but
you don't
get
need it,
started first.
especially
You don't.
yeah. I mean, especially nowadays. I mean, honestly, if you really think about this, with what's going on with this quarantine and all this shit, like you could do a Zoom meeting like we're doing right now,
Yeah.
not have a mic,
Mhm.
use your laptop mic because it can record the audio and video,
Yeah.
and then boom, that's a podcast.
That's it.
And it costs you because Zoom meetings are free.
Yep.
I mean, so really you could do it if you got the content. I mean, you look at what like Gary Vee's doing with, I don't know if you've been watching Tea with Gary Vee.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. That's
I
awesome.
just got a notification today about that.
It's great content. He does it. I think it's every day or every other day or something like that, but he'll answer questions and,
Yeah.
he does it all through Zoom and Skype. So it's all about the content. People are going to listen no matter what the quality, like he's not using a damn $5,000, red computer. I mean, or red camera.
He could.
He could,
but yeah. No, he's all about content, and that's really what
Yeah.
it is. It's content. But like I said,
Yeah.
I bought all this because it's what I wanted, and I went all in. So,
But also
I
you-
also
you-
know that I'm going to carry on with it. So
yeah. And you got the content, you're
That's it,
having,
so-
you're having interesting podcasts and interesting
Yeah.
people on. And, so
eventually, we'll have people face to face. I just don't know when that's going to happen. But somebody will be sitting in the chair across from me at some point.
yeah, someone that's
So-
not family members.
Yeah. So, well, I've only had two, but it was interesting because like I had my cousin Nicole out in LA. She's a barber, so she's struggling right now because she can't work. So,
Yeah.
but it's I don't know. I think there's more people now starting podcasts. I know there's a lot out there, but more people are starting every day. Everybody
You
wants
think
to
a lot
be
of it?
big. Everybody wants followers. Everybody wants all this stuff. It's like, man, you got to get started first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
That's it, man.
keep up
Well-
with stats and everything, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely a good way to kind of have the mindset, and it's just start it. Just start it, see what happens. But
Just do it.
there is just do it. And having a website helps, and doing that research and all that, I think is crucial. Maybe we could do a whole episode on how to, day 1 minute one start a podcast from getting the website to. That could be cool, because you could spend an hour on that.
Yeah, it's like I said, it can be overwhelming because once you get into it, it's not just recording it. You got to get it out there. So it takes a little bit of work up front, but once you get it done, and it's like you said when I was doing it, once you get it done, once you get on the platforms, it's done. You don't do anything. All you got to do is upload it, write your little stuff, you upload it, and you're good, man. Everything else is done for you.
That's it.
So it's
so easy.
It's simple. Create some content, have fun with it. And, people will come. So.
And I don't know about you, and we'll have to close out on this, but for me, the big thing was doing it for myself to, use it as an outlet to release some aggression and not to annoy my wife, because she hated hearing me talk. Still does. But that's number one is, I wanted to do that. But then also the big thing that I didn't know I was excited about was I was very, not really like fame motivated, but to see your channel art that you worked on and to see your podcast when you pull up Apple Podcasts. I don't know about you.
Yeah.
But when I first saw episode 1, I was like, whoa. It's a big deal,
it's
you know what I mean?
Man, and then you check and people are actually listening to it and they hit it and you market it and people go to it. Now, you want to have people listen to it the entire time, and then you have other people that don't listen to it that long.
Exactly.
But who cares as long as if you can get people to listen, and no matter how many people you affect, if it's at least one, I mean, you did what you set out to do, right? So, like I said, the followers will come. Don't worry about the followers. Worry about the content. If you worry about the followers, your content isn't going to be there. You got to worry about your content.
Exactly.
So get you.
You don't want to
start doing all that. And you'll be good to go, man.
Just be you, and be you and record it. That's it.
Just find somebody to be on there that's interesting. I mean, no matter what it's about. I got like my oldest. He wants to do one about gaming. He's into gaming. He's got a sponsor. His team's got a sponsor. And, so we'll probably do that. So that'll hit a certain amount of people, and that's kind of what mine's about. Mine's just all over the place. I'm not pigeonholing myself into one topic. For this crowd of people, it's just whatever, man. Let's just talk about stuff. So
yeah. And again, the number one podcast in the world, Joe Rogan's Experience.
Yeah.
He has
all over the place.
Yeah, he has him, like, what he is, but it's all over the place. Like, he'll have the Fight Companion, which are great because that's all, if you want to listen to UFC, he'll have those watch parties and stuff. But aside from that, one day it's a philosopher, one day it's a comedian, one day it's
talks about from UFO conspiracies to, the aliens and, to MMA and all that stuff. So just talk about what you want to talk to. Do not make it difficult, because it's not.
Yeah, don't overcomplicate it, because once you get in that rabbit hole, then you're done for.
And keep up with it. That's all you got to do. Just keep doing it so you don't lose interest in it. Just keep doing it.
Are you?
Yeah.
All right, go. What's this one about?
I don't know. I'm keeping it a secret right now. We'll figure it out when it comes out. So I'll put it out.
Cool. I like it. I'm stoked.
Maybe, but you never know.
I like it, man. We'll definitely do more of these. I think people can get some value out of hearing about how to make a podcast. So it's good talking with you as always, my brother.
Yep, you too. And I don't know. We'll talk soon. Let me know. We'll do the next episode.
Sounds good, my man. Be safe up there.
All right, man. You too. See you.
All right, buddy. Peace.
Bye-bye.